What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got Ailyn from her Chariot Oasis. Thank you for your time today.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, of course. It's so good to have you here. I spoke with Mike last week about his experience making the record and the idea for it. But for you, how was the making of this debut self-titled album?
It was great. It was a big surprise when Frontier Records contacted me to be working with Mike. So I really enjoy all the process of being able to work with him. He's a great musician. So it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah. Was there like a... Did Mike kind of like tell you, this is what I have in mind for the album, this is what I want to do? Or did he kind of let you bring a little bit of your own mix to the album?
No, it was actually Mike's idea because he was already working with Frontiers. When they put me in touch with Mike, I called him and we were talking about it, and he said, "This is the kind of idea I have for this project, you know." And and then he told me he loves Hailstorm and Lizzie Hay and that way of singing. And he told me, "Do you think you can do something like that? I would love that." So I was home just with big rounded eyes, just thinking, "Oh my God, how am I going to do this?" Because with all my projects before, it was a very different style. So so when he told me, it was like, "Well, this is a challenge. So let's do it."
That's incredible. So you almost kind of had to like adjust your voice to something you never really did before, right?
Yeah, it was completely different. I was more like sweet singing, more operatic, and that, not that rock and roll.
Because of that, did you tackle lyrically some sort of different subject matters as well? Like, is there a different type of lyricism that maybe that wasn't addressed in your work with Sirenia?
For this project, you mean that if the lyrics are the same, or you mean? Or
Yeah. If
different?
it's a different type of lyrical idea.
Yeah, it's very different because with the gothic symphonic, everything is more like poetic with metaphor and all of that. For this new project, everything is more like straight, more. It comes more powerful, and yeah, I would think so. It's different. And so when Mike told me about, I told Mike I was also writing lyrics and this, and I was writing, of course, but I could see the big difference between the symphonic way of seeing things and the rock and roll, because I was, as I said, I was writing more poetic. So when I show Mike the lyrics, they were not what we needed for this project. So it's very different.
Have you always needed to hear music in order to come up with lyrics, or do you sometimes have a story in mind or a concept, and maybe that could help direct the musical direction?
I think for me it's more like experience, depending on how I live, or some experience of my, I don't know, friends or some family had. So then it's when it comes the inspiration of writing something.
Well, you've collaborated with a lot of artists before, like you've collaborated with Serenity and Diabolus and Musica and so many other great artists. Kind of like a couple of questions. When you are working with another band, do they kind of want you to bring your own mix into their project, or do you kind of like what you had to do with her Chariot Oasis, you kind of had to like maybe adjust your voice a little bit?
No, it depends on the bands. Normally, they tell me just do your thing, do what you want, and of course, after if I do something they don't like, they can come and tell me, "Hey, Ailyn, could we change this because it doesn't fit what we want," or something like that. But there's some bands, they say, "This is my idea, this is what I want, so stick to the plan."
And I'd imagine working with another artist teaches you new things all the time, right?
Yeah, of course. It's every band have their own thing, so you learn a lot actually, because it's different music, different kind of lyrics, different vocal melodies. So it's super cool to be able to use your voice in different ways, and I love that.
Yeah, and I'd imagine, is it a different, are you going, you kind of just answered it, and I apologize if you already did, but like, when it comes to every project, it has to be a different mindset depending on who you're working with, whether it was with Sirenia or her Chariot Awaits or a collaborative project, right? It's almost like a different state of mind, right?
Yeah, it's different. You have to. It's like I say in Spanish, you have to change the chip on your head and try to to give something that fits that music the way it should.
Mm-hmm. And I'd imagine it also has to depend on the musician as well, right? Like, or the style as well, like depending if you're singing higher or lower or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, normally before I was singing more high vocal lines. Now with Chariot Awaits is we have a bit of everything, but there's a lot of low range, which I didn't use much before. So it's great to try new things.
It'll be death metal.
Well, we don't reach that yet.
Never say never.
No, I would never say never, but it's a bit far away for now.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually have a classical background in music, right?
Yeah, I started when I was 14, I think, 14, 15 years old. My mom just told me I should go to the music school, so I was there learning how to sing classical music. So yeah.
So
after a while, I just changed my mind a bit and started singing not that classical until I came to Sirenia, but yeah, I started with that.
So I interviewed Taria a couple years ago, and she has a background in classical music. For you, like, how did you go from like classical music to more into the rock and heavy metal world? Were you always into rock and metal, the classical music kind of came secondary, or how did you go from the classical background to the more metal-oriented sound?
Well, actually, I'm not that classical. I was studying classic for singing, but I always like all kind of music styles. So I really love metal, and I've been always listening to metal since I was 16, I think. But I listen to every kind of music, and I sing whatever I can hear on the radio. So it was a challenge just to go from what I did with Sirenia and to her Chariot Awaits, but it was really fun because I had the chance to try something new and to explore my voice in a way I never did.
Yeah. I'd imagine, like, does it almost kind of like your background in what you studied kind of go out the window when you're working with a band, or does it still influence you?
I don't know, well, a bit, but I had to say, no, this is something it wouldn't fit to this new kind of music, When Mike told me what he wanted, I was just like at my place with these big eyes, like saying, oh my God, how am I supposed to sing like that? So, because, he told me when we were talking about this project, he said his idea was to have some kind of rock and roll, Lizzie Hayes kind of singing, and I was just like, oh my God. This is too different, but yeah, Mike was very supportive, and he told me, yeah, you can do it. So I was just there trying to forget about all this sweet and operatic singing and doing something new.
I'd imagine with her Chariot Awaits, we're going to be seeing a side of you that we'd never seen before.
Yeah, actually, I've been always there for my, all the years I was singing with Sirenia. I was the kind of sweet girl princess, They have the Beauty and the Beast concept, the guy growling and the girl singing sweet and nice and very soft. So yeah.
Yeah. For like the new single, for the singles that you have out, like Dead and Gone and the other singles that were released, could this almost serve as a clear representation of what the whole album is going to sound like, or do you think that this record is a lot more diverse?
I think it's more diverse, actually, because there's different things. Of course, everything is very rock and roll and hard, but there's different things. It's not like a mono album where you have all the songs sounding exactly the same. There's different things on it, so I hope people like it when they hear it.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, we talked a little bit about lyricism, but like when it comes to getting inspired to write lyrics, you mentioned like you prefer to have some of the music and that, but like do you find it easier to come up with lyrics when you're in the company of bandmates, or do you kind of have to come up with lyrics when you're kind of like alone with the music and nobody's around?
I think I'm more comfortable on working alone, and then after showing my work, and I don't have a problem if my friends my colleagues they want to change some lyrics or something. But I think I feel more relaxed when I'm home alone. And actually, normally when I compose, it's late at night. It's when I feel more quiet, inspired, and everything, you know.
Well, during this time of isolation, I think it's a good time to write a lot of lyrics, right?
Oh yes, it is. We have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So yes.
Do you tend to like to leave lyrics open to interpretation, or do you like the listener to sort of see things from what you're singing about?
I think I like to leave them open for people to interpret them as they want. Because maybe I'm writing about something, and the person next to me, they hear the song and they think it goes about something completely different. So I think I prefer that.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to like playing your material live with everything you've done, is it almost a different energy when you're playing in front of an audience, singing in front of an audience, than when you're in like the vocal booth or in the recording studio?
Yeah, it's a lot different. Actually, I'm not that happy on being on studio singing. I prefer to be out with the audience and enjoying, giving all I have and getting all the energy back from the audience.
Yeah, Christina Scabia said that she doesn't like the recording process either. She says like it's like the worst environment ever.
Well, I wouldn't say it's the worst. You know, you are with friends on the studio and recording, but yeah, it's not the same just to be there singing to a microphone than being out with all the people. It feels a lot different.
Yeah, I'd imagine from what every artist was kind of telling me this, I'd imagine that it almost has to be more pressuring being in like the studio than on the stage at this point, right?
Yeah, I think I'm more tense when I'm on the studio than when I'm outside with all the audience and all the shows.
Any particular reason?
Well, in my case, I think it's because I'm very shy. So when I'm in the studio, I know it's just one person behind listening to everything I'm doing. When I'm on a live show, there's a lot of people, so you don't have the time to. I don't know. You don't have the time to think, oh, there's just one person. Who is there listening to what I'm doing. It's more like you don't have the time to see all the faces on the audience. But instead, when you're on studio, you can see one face, and it's like, oh no, I'm shy.
Do you almost kind of portray a character on stage in a way?
No, I never did. I'm always me. I'm very smiley. I know many people say, oh, she smiles a lot, but you know, it's how I feel. I just go to the stage and I'm just happy. So I have this big smile all the time in my face, and yeah, it's who I am.
That's so not metal.
I know. When I start singing with Sirenia, I remember people was like, why is she smiling? But I don't know, I cannot help it. I'm just so happy. Of course, I'm giving everything, and I have my character to play, and I'm not playing, but I cannot help, and I have this big smile.
Yeah. Well, once we're allowed to go to concerts again, I think every metalhead is going to be smiling again. So no judgment.
Oh yes, no problem there.
Yeah. When it comes to every single album that you were on, whether it is the self-titled by her Chariot Oasis or the 13th Floor by Serenia or the Seventh Life Path, like, is it almost kind of like a self-portrait in a way, like representative of who you are at that particular time?
Well, I don't think the albums I had they can represent me. Because with my former band, I was just singing what someone else wanted me to sing. So I was not able to say I want to sing it this way or I want to do this that way. So it was more like yeah, you work for someone and you do what that person wants. So you don't feel that like it's you putting all your soul. Instead, with her Chariot Oasis, of course, it was Mike's idea and his lyrics and his music, but he was very open to everything I have to say. If I said I would not like to scream in here, or I would like to do this that way, or feel the track with harmonies, he was very open to everything I had to say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd imagine that when you're working with somebody else, though, and maybe like you're kind of being guided, it almost has to be a little less pressuring, right? Like I was talking to Mike LaPond from Symphony X earlier today about his new project, and he was like saying because like like he's doing all the creative stuff and like it's all on him. It's kind of like all the pressuring, like a solo project or anything like that. So I'd imagine it has to maybe be a little less pressuring when you kind of have a direction given to you, right?
Yeah, of course, it's a lot. It's a lot easier because, as you said, when it's all on you, you have to choose everything and decide, and then it's stressful.
Mm-hmm. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed this discussion. Just, is there anything else with her Chariot Awaits you would like to promote? Obviously, thanks to a virus that shall not be named, no tours are happening at the moment. But I'd imagine that you and Mike are itching to play, and we'll be bringing her Chariot Awaits to the road, right?
Yeah, we hope so. We really hope so because I think we both agree on. It's quite sad to make an album that you are never going to do live. It's just like, why you want to make an album just to play it on your phone or on the radio. You also want to go there and out there and do shows and promote it. So we really, really hope all of this ends soon and we can start thinking about touring.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
Definitely. And Mike also lives in Staten Island, and you're obviously not there at the moment, right? Are you still in Spain?
Yeah, I came to Spain to visit my family when all of this came. So I tried to come back to Norway, where I live, and no, it was impossible. So I've been here for 2 months already.
Oh wow!
And I think I might have to stay 1 or 2 more months. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But I'm here with family, so everything is fine, and
yeah.
We are quite safe as we are in the mountains in a super tiny town with almost no people.
Okay.
So we are kind of safe here.
Okay, yeah, you're in Spain, Mike is in Staten Island. In the end, you're both overseas in my book. So.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Ailyn. Everybody, we are here with Ailyn of her Chariot Awaits, self-titled, coming out very soon. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we'll see you next time.